What's good, fight fans? Your Majesty speaking. This is part 2 to my first video where I spoke about the Canelo versus Crawford countdown that Netflix had dropped. Today I'm going to give you the part 2, episode 2, my thoughts to episode 2, and what I took out of that episode. The main thing I took out of that episode was, like I said, in that first episode, I saw that Crawford's training methods and his training sessions looked a lot more gritty than Canelo's did. Canelo's was, just to give you a review of the first video, in the event that you haven't watched it, please go watch it. But a brief review, Terence Crawford's training sessions looked a lot more gritty and a lot more rough. Like, you know, he really in there trying to work and get better, whereas Canelo's looked a lot more lavish, almost as if, like I said, he was in silk pajamas. Even though I know that may not be what is really going on, I know he may just be showing us what he want to show us. But that was just a brief recap of episode 1. Now, episode 2, I took a lot of things out of episode 2. One of them was the fact that both fighters are hungry for different reasons. And initially, like I said, I didn't see that. I did go back and rewatch it, and I can see that that first episode was about 90 days out. And as we get to the second episode, it's closer to fight time. And so it makes sense why Canelo's training may have looked the way that it did, because it was so far out from the fight. But I wanted to talk about the fact that both fighters are hungry. Both fighters are hungry, but they're hungry for different reasons. I think Canelo is hungry based on the fact that he feel like he got to prove something to Terence Crawford. I don't think Canelo cares about proving anything to the fans, because he's already stated that, you know, I've done everything in the sport of boxing, and the fans still, you know, don't really care. They always find a reason to put me down, whether it's Triple G, then when I beat Triple G, then it's this next person, and I beat that person, now it's somebody else. And so I just think his mindset is, I'm gonna go out here and do what's best for me. And I believe that this Crawford fight is what he feels is what's best for him from a monetary standpoint. But I feel like his hunger came from Terence Crawford. His hunger came from Crawford backing him up, walking him down, or whatever the case may be. And that alone, I believe, is enough to get Canelo to that point where he's hungry enough to really want to win this fight and put that work in. Now, Terence Crawford, on the other hand, his hunger is more so, I want to prove the people wrong. I want to prove every single doubter wrong, because I've been going through this my whole career. Y'all never believed in me. Y'all always said that I was running from the smoke, you know, and then he never got the fights that most people wanted to see him in until later on in his career. And so I believe he believes that this is that fight that can push me over the hump to the audience, of the mainstream audience. So I think his hunger comes from trying to prove the people wrong. So two different hungers, remember that. Canelo wants to prove Terence Crawford wrong. Terence Crawford wants to prove the people wrong. That was the first thing I got out of that. And then, to me, the most important thing is, for me, that I got out of that video was Terence Crawford's team, and I believe Terence Crawford wants to stop Canelo. And I can't remember, I don't have a timestamp, but maybe I'll clip it in this video. There was a point in the video where Terence Crawford's trainer, Bernie the Boxer, says, we gonna cut him up. We gonna cut him up, right? We gonna cut him up. We gonna cut him up.
Yeah. That's right. Sharpen them tools. Yeah. Sharpen them tools, bud. Double-edged sword. Here we go. Good head movement. We're going to cut him up. Good fade. We're trying to keep us down since day one. What we do, we prove it wrong every time. We're going to cut him up like a steak.
And that stuck out to me because for me, I can't really see Terence Crawford stopping Canelo the normal way. I don't see him hitting him with anything that he ain't never felt before. Maybe he can catch him with something off guard. Sorry. You know that the punch that hurts the most is the punch you don't see. But I just don't see Terence Crawford being that big of a puncher. And when I say that big of a puncher, I mean that big of a puncher that's something that Canelo ain't never felt before. So when I heard Bernie the Boxer say that, I started thinking, nobody has ever stopped Canelo. I think Terence Crawford feels like he's that type of fighter that feel like I gotta prove to you that I can do what you think I can't do, right? So that's the first thing. Nobody thinks he can stop Canelo for the most part. I do hear people say he gonna stop him, but I think that's like an inflated thing that they have based on Errol Spence. And, you know, a lot of people let that Madrimov fight go out of their head. They act like the Madrimov fight never happened, or they don't want to take anything from that fight as if that wasn't his last fight. But I think Terence Crawford wants to prove to the people that he can do what nobody else could do, and that's stop Canelo. But I think the way he's going to try to stop Canelo is what's going to be interesting. And after hearing Bernie the Boxer say, we going to cut him up, we going to cut him up, and me just thinking about how Terence Crawford punches, he punches real choppy and you know, he punches down a lot. And a lot of the times when you punching down and choppy like that, it's easy to cut somebody up. So if I remember correctly, I think Canelo has been cut before. And a lot of times when you have scar tissue, it's easy to reopen those cuts. And so honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea if your goal is to stop him. Maybe stopping him on cuts or cutting him up and putting Canelo in a situation where he bloody and maybe it's blood running in his eyes and he can't see like, you know, he normally would be able to, and using that as a strategy may be a good strategy if your goal is to try to stop Canelo. And so when I heard it, I'm like, okay, I see. And I know that Bomac and them are very, very smart trainers. It's a team of them. It's 3 of them or 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken. And if that is the game plan, I think that's a very smart one, because if Bud can be very, very, you know what? I'm not going to get into this because I am going to do a breakdown for each specific fighter. But if Bud, I'm going to give you this. If Bud can be elusive, which I haven't really seen him be that elusive, not like how Floyd was. Speaking of that, I went back and watched that Floyd Mayweather-Canelo fight maybe a week ago. Man, I almost forgot how good Floyd Mayweather was. And I hear a lot of people talking about Floyd did it or this. Bud not Floyd. Bud not Floyd. Not even, it ain't even close. Floyd was so defensively responsible that Canelo couldn't get. I don't want to give too much because I'm going to break that down. But Terence Crawford, if that is the game plan, and he can be elusive enough to chop Canelo in between his punches, but punch down as he doing it with those longer arms, he may be able to get those cuts and be able to press the issue at that point to get the stoppage. But to close this video out, I just wanted to come back and give that brief summary of episode 2, because when I heard him say it, he didn't only say it once, he said it twice, and that's what made it stick. That's what made it stick out to me. That they wanted to cut him up. They wanted to cut him up, and I'm not sure if anybody else picked up on that, but I definitely did. I think that is a excellent way to try to get the stoppage, because I don't see him hurting Canelo with any punches to the point where he gonna get a knockout, or you know, Canelo gonna quit in the corner, or I don't see any other way of Bud stopping Canelo. And let me say this, I didn't see a way for him to stop Errol Spence either, and he did. And so that's why I want to come at this fight from an unbiased standpoint. I want to give both people their credit because they both deserve it. I hear a lot of disrespect from Canelo, but both these fighters deserve their credit. They both elite level fighters. They're both A-level fighters, you know, and they both deserve the credit that I'm going to give them because they earned it. And so when I come back in future videos and break this fight down, I'm going to give you Bud plus and pros and cons, and I'm going to give you Canelo's pros and cons. I do have a video that I have been talking about that I want to get out there that's going to be titled Spence Made Crawford Look Better Than He Really Is. And I just want y'all to watch that video and understand where I'm coming from when I say that. It won't be a slight to Terence Crawford, but I did see a lot of things that Spence did that allowed. Make sure you tune into that video when I drop it. But if you like this channel and you like what I'm doing, this is my second video. I did drop one video before this about the first episode of the documentary that Netflix dropped for Canelo versus Crawford. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. I'm going to be a lot more consistent with this. I know a lot of you may know me from Batman Boxing Talk. I'm still there, not going nowhere, but I wanted to do something like this so that I can be a lot more consistent and connect with you guys. But we still gonna be going live on Batman Boxing Talk. I'm gonna get this channel up and running, and we're gonna be going live here. We're gonna be a whole lot more consistent. So please like, subscribe, share, hit the bell icon, hit the like button, all that other good stuff, and you'll be notified when I drop future videos. With that, I'm out.